Hi friends, I'm Anna Helman. Today I want to share with you 3 unique ways to use one embossing folder. These cards have turned out beautifully and I can't wait to share them with you. Let's take a look. The sunflower embossing folder is the one that I have used on these cards, and it's one of our large embossing folders, which is great because you can actually create 2 card fronts by sending this through your cut and your die cutting and embossing machine one time. So let's start and take a look at these cards. I just gave you a quick preview of one of them, but we are going to start with this one. For this one, I embossed some pretty peacock cardstock, and then I added that white ink to the top using a really simple technique that I call dragging. So I have my white ink pad here. I love this ink pad. You can do some really beautiful techniques with white. And so I'm going to show you as I start to drag this across the surface of this, what happens. We start to get those raised areas highlighted. Now I'll mention I'm doing this with white. You can do this with any colors, but there are some tricks to this. Keep in mind, the more ink your ink pad has, the easier it's going to be to transfer that and possibly transfer it to like the lower areas where you may not want it. But just keep that in mind. If your ink pads ever get low before you refill them, this could be a great technique that you try, but they don't have to be low. But you want to use as little pressure as possible. And you can just practice and play around. If you ever have scraps of embossed pieces, that would be a good time to practice some. You can try the back side if you want to for fun. Let's go ahead and do this on the back side. Or if you try it on one side and you're not pleased with the appearance, don't give up. Flip it over. Try that back side. Look at that. I hadn't even thought about doing that until just now, but that one is beautiful as well. So that is technique number 1, ink dragging, where you can get these beautiful effects of that color on the raised part of your embossed image. The second one, we'll bring in this one I just shared with you, and this, does it look like a watercolor painting? It should, because that's what it is basically. So I embossed watercolor paper for this one. Then I got several colors of ink onto an acrylic block, and I brought in my water painter along with here's my paper that I've embossed, my water painter, and a water spritzer. So what I'm going to do is pick up some of this color with my water painter. I'm going to squeeze some water onto this block. That way I can start mixing the color. I can mix it as dark or as light as I want to. But before I started, what I like to do is to actually spritz my watercolor paper just with some water all over. I want it to look damp, but not really have water running across the surface. Now here it got a little bit wet. That's okay. You can play around with these. They're a lot of fun, and you will get different results every time. So what you're seeing right here is, because I got this area a little bit wetter, that color is being pulled all over that flower right now, which is okay. That is fine. Down here where I didn't get quite as much water on the surface, we'll do the same thing, and you're going to notice that the color does not travel nearly as far. Now I can pick up the water and the color from my block. I can also squeeze more water out of the brush to get my color to travel farther. What's fun about watercolor, especially when you're using watercolor paper, is if you get something too dark, it's not permanent. You can add more water and start to lighten that up. So this is what I did. I did the yellow first, then I added some cherry cobbler for the actual flower petals and mossy meadow for the leaves. And I got this beautiful result. So not only do we have that amazing texture, but we also have the beautiful watercolor look to go along with it. I will mention quickly the tags that I used on these cards came from my tag box, and I created the tags, my most recent tags in my tag box, with this amazing bundle. It's called More Messages. It is one large stamp and one large die to cut out all of the stamped images on this whole stamp. I love this. Great way to build up greeting tags quickly in your collection. So that was our second one. Let's look at our third one. And the technique on this one is pretty simple. You see it in my videos quite a bit, but it is to use blending brushes. And I used my small blending brushes for this one. I was afraid that my big ones might be a little bit too big and the color might travel outside of where I wanted it for some of these. So I actually embossed onto some bubble bath cardstock. I know, at least for me, a lot of times my tendency is to use white when I start things, either die cuts or embossing, whatever it is. But I love to start with color because, see, now you can see between the flowers and the leaves, it's not just plain white. We have some color there in the background. But for this, I pick up that color using the swirling motion on my ink pad. This one has quite a lot of ink on it right now, so I want to get some of that excess off on my paper. And then choose the area where you want that particular color and just start swirling gently. You do want to be careful. The harder you press and the more ink you have, the more color is going to transfer easier. You may end up with some of that color on the flat areas of your project, which is okay as well. But doing this, you can add color to those specific areas until you are happy with the way those beautiful sunflowers or whatever is on your embossing folder, however they look. So pretty simple. Those are the three cards, the three techniques I have to share for using embossing folders in fun ways. Let's bring these cards back in, and you can see those three beautiful cards and those adorable tags that I was talking about, how easy it is to create those with the More Messages bundle. Do you ever lose things? I know, that's a joke. We all lose things, right? Probably a year or two ago, I started, when I would lose something, instead of, like it just drives you crazy, like, where did that thing go? And you think you've looked everywhere and you obviously haven't because you can't find it. And anyway, I started praying about it when I can't find something. So for several years, I'm getting better about when I lose something, just like say a prayer. And what I have found is, like, I'm not kidding. I think my finding rate of things has gone far up, has gone way up from what it used to be. And I almost always find it, and usually fairly quickly. Uh, but what I found, that this is the hard part. This is the hard part, is to say the prayer and then let it go. Right? Say the prayer, let it go. Stop looking. Not too long ago, I mentioned that we had a flood in our house. There was a day I got a message from Farmer Matt. I needed to send the list of all of our damaged items to the lady at the insurance company. This message came in at a very bad time on a Friday. I was getting ready to leave for the weekend. I was busy, and honestly, I had just basically tried to ignore the fact that we had a flood in our house because it was kind of the last thing we needed at the time, and if I focused on the flood, I was going to lose my mind. So I had just been like ignoring all the stuff that's everywhere and the flooring that got torn up, and I was just carrying on with my life as if none of this had happened. Get this message, I need to send the list to the, I'm like, oh, okay. Where's my list? I had made a list and it was in a notebook, and I start looking for this list. I'm kind of in a hurry because I'm trying to get ready to leave for the weekend. And I cannot find this notebook anywhere. And are you ever like on the verge of a meltdown? You're like, okay, okay, like don't lose it. I was on the verge of a meltdown. I was like, okay, I need to say my prayer. So I did, and I got done with my prayer, and I keep looking, I keep looking. I'm like, okay, I have to let this go. I have to let this go. Within 10 minutes, I just had this like light bulb in my head of, I wonder if it's in that notebook that I started using for this I was involved in an interview for something. I was not being interviewed. I was helping interview. And I'm like, I wonder if I took that notebook to that interview, if that's the one I took those notes in. And I thought, I need to go find that notebook. So I went upstairs and looked around and found that notebook and then had to flip like halfway through the notebook to the middle of the notebook to find, and there it was. And I was like, I do not think I would have ever found this notebook if I had not said that prayer. Actually, as I was getting ready to make this video, this embossing folder I've been wanting to make a video with this embossing folder. And so I get ready to do it, and I was not seeing it in any of the places I thought it should be. So I didn't like start to fret. I was just like, Lord, can you please direct me to the embossing folder? And then I was doing a couple of other things. I think it was within a minute. I came over here to put a blending brush away, and right there it was in front of me. Right. So I don't know. It could be a coincidence, but a lot of times it doesn't seem like it. So when you lose things, I would encourage you to try this if you don't already do this. I hope it helps. Farmer Matt even found there was something that was lost for like a whole, I don't know, several weeks probably. Eventually I told him, I'd said my prayer. He he found something. There's one of my gardening tools between the wall up between our dryer and our wall, in that space that's like this big. We found one like we would have never found, I don't know. It seems like it works. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.